Guys, there's only one thing we could accomplish tonight, and that's winning a football game, and that's exactly what we did. It was I would say, a nervy start to the game. We felt a little edgy, and it took us a while to settle down. I think you have to give Elon a lot of credit, what we had talked about in terms of not knowing a lot about their personnel or their schemes. I think they had us chasing shadows a little bit defensively early in the game, that we had to come in at halftime and really dial in on what they were doing, and I thought we made really good adjustments defensively. Came out, got the stops, went touchdown, stop, touchdown to start the second half, and from that point on, really exerted control in the game. And then to get a score on special teams was really kind of the final blow that put the game away. I think what you saw that we, once we kind of settled down on offense, we have a lot of weapons. I mentioned to you all on Monday, we really like the depth of our weapons, and I think that was on display today. Certainly, a lot of the talk will be about Mensa and how he played, but if you look at where the ball can go now, and Barcade, in terms of how explosive he is, Andrell Anthony made a huge catch. You still have Samir and Quayshawn Brown doing great things. Landon King made a big play, and then the backs, right? You see all the backs that we can use, all a little bit different, able to stay fresh. It's exciting. We have a lot of guys that can contribute. So I'm like I said, I'm pleased of the overall performance. As always in openers, there's going to be a lot that you have to correct and will correct, but it's always better to correct it when you're 1-0. And so, proud of our guys. Great start to the season, and let's do questions.
Manny, with the nervy start, is that more because this is a younger team, as you said on Monday, or is it just opener and jitters?
It's funny. I was talking to a couple of our older guys, kind of when the clock was running down. I honestly, I think it's just our expectations. I think our players felt that we had a chance to be really good, and sometimes, you want to hit, like I say, you want to hit grand slams with no one on base, right? And so you press. Everyone can be a little bit tight, and that's just the thing about college football, because you don't get to play a preseason game. It's on the job training, and so, I think we had 250 yards of offense at halftime, and we had missed a field goal. We had fumbled in the red zone. We dropped a wide open touchdown. We missed a wide open touchdown. And so to score 45, and it could have been 60 without too much more huffing and puffing, shows, I think, what we can be on offense. So like I said, you got to start somewhere, and we're happy we started with a win.
Manny, what was that mindset? What did you tell the team going into the second half, especially after that nervy start for them, and what was that like?
It's funny, but we almost always talk about at halftime, no matter what the score is. We just said it's 0-0. Right? And nothing that happened in the first half was going to have any impact in terms of what was going to happen with the result of the game, right? So it was where you are right now and your present mindset to go and take control of the game, right? And that we are in control, and let it all go. Whatever happened in the first half, let it go, and let's go be us. And like I said, I think we started touchdown, stop, 3-and-out, touchdown. And so I think the guys really responded, and I think especially offensively, we calmed down, and then we just went to work, and I still think we only punted once on the night. So other than the missed field goal and the fumble, I don't know if we were ever stopped from that point on.
What was your assessment on Darian? Just his first started due to transfer, nearly 400 yards, completed his last 14 passes. What was just his poise and calmness in the second half? What was your assessment?
I think the play of the game was, and it might have been on the first drive of the second half. It was a 3rd and long. He hit Barcade on a curl for the first down, and that spurred the touchdown drive, and that was a big time throw. I think they were in a coverage they really hadn't shown us before, and for him to go through the progression and hit Coop was a big time play there. I think on that same drive we were down the red zone. I think he bought time in the pocket, and I think it meant hit Cooper down there for a first down inside the 5-yard line or so. So what we had been talking about, some plays off script, right? Be able to make some plays with his feet. I thought Johnny Brewer did a nice job getting him out on the perimeter at times with some of our movement stuff. The first play of the game, we had an explosive play on some movement things. So I know there's a lot of things that he still will believe he can do better. It even came to me in the second quarter. He's like, okay, I'm relaxed now. And like I said, you just everyone came in with a lot of expectation, and it's hard to fight an opponent and expectation. And once we stopped fighting the expectation, then I think our performance all went up.
Man, it's 10-10 at halftime. It's a one-score game early in the fourth quarter.
How many times can I do that?
There's one of the few fumbles in the game. With the score being tied, one-score game early in the fourth quarter, this is the kind of game where your veteran guys really haven't been in close games last year. They really maybe settled the other guys down and kept them
Yeah.
Right.
And we said it all week, and it sounds crazy. Don't pay a lot of attention to the scoreboard. The scoreboard doesn't really count till the end of the game. The scoreboard's a timer until it's 0. Then when it's 0, it announces the score to everybody else. And so, like you mentioned, a 1-score game at some point in the fourth quarter, that doesn't affect my standard and performance. Just go out and play. And that's why I just felt like once we got going, we just took over the game. And so, I felt great poise and I felt great confidence in our guys in the second half.
Man, let me ask you to kind of follow up on Chip's question. First possession of the fourth quarter, Elon scored, they cut it to 1 touchdown. There's some pretty significant game pressure on your offense, maybe deeper into the game than you were expecting to be. You talk about how they responded with that touchdown drive.
Yeah, I think they were just excited to get to play. And I think that's the point is that, we get to respond now. And I think our offense had a great response in the first half as well. And I always feel like that's a big metric for great teams is when your defense does give up a score, what does the offense do next time they have the ball? And so just do it right back to work and just, make it a 14-point game again was massive. Then the defense got the stop, and I believe that's when the punt return came and made it 21. So I felt like our offense was at a point of great comfort running in, throwing the ball in the second half once they got rolling.
We got time for 2 more for Coach.
Manny, especially in the second half, Darian showed some really great chemistry with the receiving core, especially with Houston and Cooper, as you mentioned. Kind of, what was it like seeing that chemistry develop from what you guys put in over the offseason?
It's fun because, as I mentioned, a lot of those guys weren't available during spring practice, and so I kept saying we're going to get better at throwing the ball as the year goes on. I still believe that. But it was fun, at least for our fans tonight. And by the way, I thought our student body was unbelievable tonight. I thought the student section was rocking. They showed up, and we'll need them next Saturday for sure, the early kick. But you wanted everybody that loves Duke football to see the glimpses of what this offense can be. Everyone's heard about these names. A lot of our transfers. It was kind of neat to see all the transfers felt like they all made a big play tonight, right? Which was fantastic. But then still the guys that have been here and love Duke, whether the guys on the offensive line, how about Jerry Hasley getting a catch, you know what I mean? And then Samir and Queso, like I mentioned, it's fun watching all the guys come into one and really be something exciting.
Last question for Coach.
On Monday, you said you didn't want your guys to be weird. Last year, things were being weird. Your first 6 quarters, a couple years ago at Penn State, were weird.
Yep.
Is it good to be weird in this first game?
Well, I hope we got the weirdness out because like we were. I mean, it was a little, and the guys sensed it. I mean, I had one of our most experienced players come up to me and said, I was so nervous in the first quarter, and I think it's neat. It's neat to talk about that. We actually I showed him a video of Erling Haaland, the Man City striker, talking about how he's nervous every game, and it's okay to express that. It's football players were big tough. I'm not supposed to talk about feelings, and heck, man, I'm nervous. And that's cool. What is that telling you, right? It's just information, right? So what's it telling you? So can I learn to play through that and play and still execute with those sort of strange feelings? Because as we build this program, the expectations are going to continue to grow, and we're going to get invited to more and more, fun football games, right? And so I think that's just all part of the process, and I enjoy leading these guys through the steps of how to deal with the rising expectations.
All right, everybody.